So I've got two birdhouses that need to be restored, and I want to do just that. So I'm going to put y'all on hold while I go and clean this one out. Looks like it's had a lot of life during its time. Morning. It's probably not going to get a sunshiny day, but I think the rain is supposed to stop, and the car show in Elberton is tonight. We like that one. I like that one, and me and Honey Baby are definitely going. So in the meantime, other projects, we have some birds that love to build nests up under our porch, and Honey Baby doesn't like it when they do that because, well, they mess all over the porch. And one year they had the baby chicks up in the rafters, and the baby chicks fell out, and Daisy found them, and that was just an unpleasant kind of mess. So, she suggested building some birdhouses. Well, Larry, he's moving, and he's been giving me stuff, and he gave me a couple of these really cool old birdhouses. This one has so much wear on it that the hole is all wallowed out, and I'm guessing that's from birds going in and out of it. It doesn't have a floor, but I can fix that, and the roof is good on it. Now this one here had a roof on it, but it was it's this old there's a name for this kind of board. People used to put it in their houses a lot and use it for siding, and that makes a good looking roof. It looks a lot like a tin roof, but it's rotted out, and it's just about gone. The other thing it was completely full of bird nest material and dirt dauber's nest. I'm talking about right up to here, and I had a heck of a time getting it all out. It does have a floor in it, and it has two holes, but I'm thinking, this could be a 2-story birdhouse if it had a floor here. So I went down and cut this piece of wood, and I'm going to drive this down in here so that it sits right down here, and then there'll be a bird's nest here and a bird's nest here if the birds want to use it. I'm also going to put a little porch on the front. I'm going to put one down here and one down here so that when they have their babies, they'll have something for the babies to step out on, so they won't fall down and get eaten up by other creatures. So I'm going to drive this board I cut down to here, and then I'm going to put a screw through my porch and right into it about here. So I'm going to put my little birdhouse porch right there. I've got a bucket of screws here, various lengths, and it would be kind of a pain in the neck to sort them all out. So I just put them in here, and when I need one, I'll dig through here. Looks like there's a couple of pencils in here too. I needed one of them this morning. And there's a clamp that can go down here in the front door. And let's see if I can find the right end. Drive these two screws in place in here where they go. Screwdriver done. The temperature is nice today. It's not ridiculously hot or anything. Put a couple screws down here because this down here is kind of separating from the wood is warping. It's sort of separating from its original floor. In place, and I'll do the same thing over here. I think these are pretty old, I don't mean pretty old, I mean they're pretty and they're old bird's nests. Somebody who made them put a little time into them. And then I'm going to put this on the bottom here as a little birdhouse porch. This little place to catch the baby birds if they fall out. Now we have a two-story birdhouse with 2 little porches on it. And all we need for this one is a tin roof and something to hang it on. And I've got an idea about something to hang it on, and I'll show you. I've got a Crepe Myrtle tree out here in the front yard. I got 2 of them, and they tend, these Crepe Myrtles will grow like a bush if you let them. And I don't want them to grow like a bush, I want them to grow like a tree. So one of them out here, the smaller one, it kind of leaned over. Actually, it was leaning over toward the sunlight, because that's where the sunlight comes up every morning. And I put a steel rod on the back side of it years ago, and tied it to it so that it would grow straight. And it still leans toward the sun, but I want it to come up straight before it does that. So I put this steel rod right here. Now this one here just recently did the same thing. And the other thing I do with these Crepe Myrtles is I wrap them together, because I want them to grow up with one solid trunk, not as a bush. So you can see where these have grown together. I had strings on these, and over time this Crepe Myrtle is growing into a single trunk. But this one's leaned over, and I was talking about these bird nests, and Honey Baby said, well, you ought to put them on some kind of a pole out in the front yard. Well, I'm thinking about getting me a piece of steel, driving it into the ground out here, tying the Crepe Myrtle to it, and then hanging the 2 birds' nests on that. So that's kind of my plan. And I've got an old bed rail, I think. Well, I know I got one. I got a couple of them down back. I can sharpen one end of that and drive it into the ground, and then maybe build me a couple of hangers on top of it for the bird's nest. That's my plan. Now this bird's nest here is good, except it needs a floor. So what I did was, back there in the back shed, I had some leftover wood from where I was making that console on the Boston Whaler. I'm going to put that piece of wood right there, put screws here and here, and it'll do the same thing. It'll give a floor and a little porch for the baby birds to sit on. And I should be able just to screw a couple of little screws right in that, take care of that right quick. We like the birds. I like the birds and the frogs and the lizards and all of that. I like all the living things that are living around here. And I'm going to do my part to make them welcome. Help them be able to find a good place to live here where we live. That's my plan. People talk about the environment. Well, it seems to me like I can do my part to help the environment right here by doing stuff like this. Now, I'm not any good at planting. If I was, well, I tried last year to grow tomatoes, and that was a complete failure. But if I was any good at planting, I'd plant some stuff. But Honey Baby is good at planting, so she's planted a lot of things around, and that's working out really good. See, now this one has a floor. This one needs a roof, and they both need something to sit on. So, we'll go back there and get that big long steel rod, and we'll look at how we're going to attach it. So I put the pipe in the ground to straighten the tree up, and I've got more of it in the ground than I thought I would have. I was thinking the bird's nest ought to be up a little higher. I might still come up with something where I can come up from here and put the bird's nest up here. But I might have to think about that. In the meantime, this keeps this tree straight, and that should take care of that for a while. So we'll put a birdhouse here and a birdhouse here. And I need to put a roof still on one of them. So let's go do that. So I found kind of a neat piece of metal down in the pile. That's an old piece of pressed tin like would come on a cupboard. Back in the old days, they made pie safes, and they had tin like that on them. So if I put that right there, attach that onto that, that'll make a perfect little roof. I think that's good. What do y'all think? So let's go put it up. There.